Dawson.
It's been a long time.
20 years.
I remember thinking about forever, sitting there with you by the river. We danced in the headlights and fell for the first time.
I remember telling you I loved you.
Somehow you have gotten better looking, which is so annoying. Couldn't you have gotten bald or fat or something?
Thought every
There was this explosion. Still have no idea why I didn't drown. It's like fate. A chance to see you again. To tell you how much I still love you. I made a mistake back then. And I wanted to save you from some of the pain.
I would have chosen you no matter what.
love comes in circles and love takes its own time. Bending and breaking,
Not taking a straight line.
never knew another love timeless and true, but I did, yeah, I did with you. Oh, I did, yeah.
I lost you once. I can't lose you again.
Please welcome to stage Nancy Red and Nicholas Sparks.
Hello. Okay, that's sad. How many of you here are Nicholas Sparks fans? We can do better than that, okay? He has sold millions and millions of books. So how many of you here are Nicholas Sparks fans? That's right. Actually, you are such a family man, Nicholas. But GQ recently had a really viral headline. I think I'm going to read it directly. Nicholas Sparks has been to bed with 97 million women. Now, of course, not literally, but your books have been in their beds. How do you have such inspiration to write so many best-selling, amazing books?
I don't know. I really don't. I remember I wrote The Notebook, I don't know, a million years ago, and I remember finishing The Notebook, and I was talking to my agent, and she said, so what's next? I'm like, next? I don't have any more stories. That was all I had. I have no more. But little by little, I guess ideas come, and they can come from anywhere, right? And ideas are never fully fleshed out, right? I mean, they start with just a little tiny piece. Maybe it's an image or an emotion or a theme or someone that you've met, and from there you build out the rest of the story.
All right, well, here's the thing. There's so much romance, so much drama, so much love in all of your stories. When we were speaking earlier this year on HuffPost Live, one of the commenters asked, and we didn't get a chance to answer this question, so I want you to answer it now. They wanted to know, is the romance between you and your wife as strong as the romance between the couples in your novels?
You know, at times, sure, right? Not always. I'm a dude. Look, I mean, that's the way it is. No matter what, I'm still a guy. Yeah, you do your best, and it's always been an element that's been important. And you know, all you can do is do your best, right? You know, these characters that I create, they're not endlessly romantic. I mean, you got Noah over there yelling at Allie, right? I mean, that's not romantic. Nobody likes to be yelled at. Doesn't matter, even if it is Ryan Gosling, and maybe you say, okay, maybe he could yell at me and I wouldn't care. But in real life, nobody likes to be yelled at. You know, it's just kind of the story of the fact that they care for each other, and that's so obvious that eventually, I think, means something.
Well, she has been in bed with the actual Nicholas Sparks for decades, as have the 97 million women. But one of the things that many people might not know, they might just know your fantastic success. But you said when my agent asked, do you have any other books besides Notebook? And you didn't have an answer. Let's talk about before you even had The Notebook. This was your first published book. What were you doing when you were writing The Notebook?
When I was writing The Notebook, I was selling pharmaceuticals during the day, right? It was a lot of fun. I liked that job. I had 2 kids at that time. My second son did not sleep at night. He was one of those kids who woke up every couple of hours. So my wife was going to bed very early, like at 8:30 or something like that. And So I said, well, I'm kind of alone out here in the living room. I guess I could either watch TV or give writing another try. So I wrote The Notebook over about a 6-month period, just working in the evenings to see that if I could. I had written a couple of novels earlier in my career that were never published. But when I was 28, I just decided to give it another whirl.
Okay, so you gave it another whirl. But at first, there weren't very many bites. You ended up kind of feeling bad about it.
It's always interesting. That's a great question. And you can spin this story both ways. And so it depends on whether I'm really feeling sorry for myself. So I sent a query letter out to various agents, 25 agents. The truth of the matter is that 24 of those agents all said no. The other truth of the matter is that the first agent who read it, the very first one, said yes. So, depending on, the first one who read it, they took it. Or you say, well, there was this utter rejection. Both stories are true. And, in the end, the agent ended up being the right agent for me, and she's still my agent to this day, one of my great friends in the world. And my career wouldn't be where I was without her. She's very bright, and she gets what I do. And, it's been kind of one of those things that has just really worked out well.
And your agent, your family, everyone's been with you through this incredible journey. And not only are you a best-selling author, but you have some mega hits on the screen. What is that feeling like? Because there's one thing, as many authors know and can tell you, you can sell your rights, but getting the book to the screen and actually being able to see the movie, just like we just saw that trailer, is another thing.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of novels that get made into movies, but there's really not. There's 5,000 novels published in the course of a year, and maybe of those 70 get sold for film, 50 to 70 at the most. And most of those are just optioned. Of those, you might have 3 or 4 a year, and that's about it. So it's real small. The fact that this is my 9th one, I've already filmed my 10th one. It'll be out in April, and then The Choice is filming now. I've had some good breaks, right? I've been pretty fortunate, and worked with some good people, and had my fair share of luck along the way.
But you're also a really hard worker. Don't sell yourself short, Nicholas, because that's another thing that our commenters were just in love, not just with your work, but your work ethic.
Yeah, I work a lot. I don't think there's any question about that. I'm working on 2 novels now. I'm in the editing room for 1 film. I'm promoting another film, and I'm just have to race back to set to oversee filming on a 3rd one. I have Broadway projects and television projects, so it's pretty busy most days. Most days I don't wake up saying to myself, I wonder if there's anything to do today. I don't have many days like that.
That's right. Well, here's the thing. You're one of the few people who can wake up and say, I wonder what huge megastar is going to play in my next movie, because you've worked with the best of them. We've got Ryan Gosling, we have Liam Hemsworth, Channing Tatum, and now James Marsden. Are you starstruck when you meet these guys?
I was starstruck in the beginning, sure. I remember it was really funny. I'd sold Message in a Bottle, and this was years and years ago. It was probably 15 years ago. And I was getting ready to go to Mass on Christmas Eve with my kids. We go to a children's Mass. So getting ready to leave, we're trying to get the kids out the door, and the phone rings, and I go over there, and I answer the phone, just, hello. And he's like, is this Nicholas Sparks? I say, yeah. He says, hey, this is Kevin Costner. I'm like, no, I'm going to be late for church. That's the weirdest thing, right? And then, I don't know, maybe it was a month after that, I'm just sitting there on the couch, with the family, maybe watching some TV or whatever. The phone rings, and the caller ID, you look down, it says, Paul Newman, Connecticut. You're like, no, come on, it's Paul Newman. Why would he be calling me? Those moments, they're still pretty surreal, right? And they're very exciting.
Okay, it's not just exciting for you, though. What's going on with your kids? How are they taking all this?
Yeah, my kids, they don't really think of themselves as having a famous father in the slightest, right? Because they don't perceive that side of me. They do a little bit, and they kind of have a jaundiced view of reality when it comes to like stars. But for me, in the house, Dad's a writer. That's what I do. I don't write a novel every day and make a movie every day. I'm doing a little bit of writing, and that's what they see. But then they say things like, Dad, I think you should put, Selena Gomez in a movie because we really want to meet her. I'm like, okay, let me think about that. You're like, well, it doesn't work like this, right? Or, if you want to get backstage at a concert or meet Taylor Swift or this, they're like, Dad, can you do that? You're like, yeah, probably. But they just do that. It's interesting.
Well, let's talk about your new film. We just saw the fantastic trailer. Talk to us about The Best of Me. What can we expect?
Yeah, The Best of Me, I love this story. I wrote it, it was really inspired by being in my 40s. I find the 40s to be a very interesting decade. I think when you're in your 20s and 30s, you think that all your dreams still have a possibility of coming true, right? Teenager, this is what's going to happen. When you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, I think you've come to the realization that maybe not all of them are going to come true, right? For whatever reason. So you're in this 40s and you're kind of realizing that some are dying. You don't want to let go, this and that. And I think it really causes you to begin to wonder in a way that's even more intense than it was perhaps. You sit there thinking, half my life is over. How did I get here? Is this what I want the rest of my life to be? What if I had made different decisions? What if I had gone to a different college? Or what if I had, married the first person I fell in love with? What would my life be like now? And there are these questions, they're unanswerable, but I think it's because of these other changes, you're hitting half your life over. I think it's very, it's a very meaningful thing. And so what I wanted to do was to write a story where I really explored that question of what if I'd made a different choice. And then I really wanted to amp it up and say, okay, not only what if you make this different choice, you have the second chance. You can make that choice. So it's about Dawson and Amanda. They meet when they're young. They fall in love. It's great. It doesn't work out. 20 years later, here they are again. Now, they got a lot more life behind them right now. They have family on the one hand, children. Well, what if you realize that you still feel the same way? Now what do? It's a very, very tough question. That's why I think this film people are really going to relate to, because there's a lot of authenticity to it. This is something that everybody goes through.
Oh, absolutely. There's not a single person in this audience, or not a single person who reads your books, that hasn't made a choice where they wonder, what if?
Of course, yeah, that's fun.
It's absolutely fun, and it's great to see it come alive, your favorite characters on the big screen. And some more favorite characters are coming up. I just read that The Longest Ride recently finished filming. This is exciting. When is it coming out?
The Longest Ride right now is scheduled to come out in April, and we wrapped over the summer. It's a different studio, very excited about that. So it'll be fun. I'll be back in April, I guess.
And just in case you're wondering, he's gotten so big for his britches, he's working with these huge celebrities. Oh no, Nicholas Sparks keeps his feet on the ground, and 4 feet stay on the ground as well. You're working in November as the national spokesperson for PetSmart Charities, because November is National Adoption Month.
Yeah, I'm a dog person. There are cat people and dog people. I'm a dog person. And don't hold it against me if you're a cat person. I've got nothing against cats. I'm just allergic to them. They make me sneeze. And we've adopted pets over the year, and so many animals in shelters. And, part of my role as a spokesman for PetSmart Charities is to encourage pet adoption.
And also the way you're encouraging this is great, because he's actually offering viewers, fans, people who are a big fan of pet adoption, a chance to have their pet featured in your novel. You won't do Selena Gomez for your daughter, but you will let a lucky fan have their pet included in a future novel, right?
Yes. These are very easy things to do if you're in a novel, because you just say, there's the dog or cat, and you put the name in. They don't have any lines or anything, it's really, really quite easy to do, so I felt that I could do that.
All right. Well, this is fantastic. And where can they learn more information about that?
PetSmartCharities.org. That is a wonderful charity.
Great. Well, I want to get back to pre-mogul Nicholas Sparks, because it also is a big important part about what you're currently doing to help others. Now, you earned a track scholarship to Notre Dame, right?
Yes, I did.
Now, talk about that. What did running mean to you as a child?
Writing didn't mean anything to me as a child. Yeah, I was a good student, but I was way into track and field. And when I went to college, I had a scholarship, and I still hold the school record at Notre Dame. I was actually halfway decent back then. I got injured, and over the summer between my first and second year in college, I wrote my first novel, because I was just trying to, convalesce from this injury, and I didn't really have anything else to do. So I gave it a whirl, wrote a novel. I don't think I would have been a novelist had I not run, because if Had I not run, I wouldn't have been injured. Had I not been injured, I wouldn't have the time to write the novel type thing. That's one of those questions of what if, right? What if I hadn't gotten injured that year? Where would I be? What would my life be like? I have not the slightest idea other than to know it wouldn't be what it is now.
Well, the interesting thing is you're giving so many new people the opportunity to have that what if moment, to have that aha moment through something as tangential as running. You've put millions of your own dollars into your North Carolina community to help increase the number of individuals who can take advantage of track and field. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, philanthropy has been a big part of my life ever since the beginning. I founded the creative writing program at the University of Notre Dame, and then I really turned down toward really helping people in rural communities. So I started coaching at the local high school. I coach also a club team in the summer.
It didn't hurt that your son was also a runner.
My son was very fast. My son actually holds the junior world record, so he was pretty fast.
I love how that's just an aside. Oh, by the way.
Yeah, if you go to trackandfieldnews.com, you'll see my son's name in there. But probably over 4 or 5 year period, we were able to get 200 to 300 disadvantaged and at-risk youth at least into college. Many of them were the first ones they were to ever attend college. Not all of them graduated. Some left, some joined the military, a lot of different things. And then, of course, we've also started a school, my wife and I, and we keep the tuition as low as we conceivably can so that students, of all backgrounds, economic backgrounds, can attend. And then recently we started the Nicholas Sparks Foundation, which really is trying to address scholarship opportunities for kids in rural communities, because that's where the big pockets of unending poverty are. It's really this big beltway through the South, sadly, and this is it's endemic to the region. So we're trying to increase educational opportunities, because if you go to where I am in these small towns, you don't have KIPP schools or Harlem Success Zones, which are great. I would love them. They're not in these small towns. They're always in inner cities, but really most of the endemic poverty in this country is in these rural communities. So we're just trying to get disadvantaged and at-risk youth scholarship opportunities so that they can escape this world of poverty.
And being from Southern Virginia, I completely understand and appreciate that, because we get forgotten. Sometimes people make the big time and then they set up their funds around the world or in big cities, but keeping it in North Carolina, keeping it in that Southern belt is so important and crucial.
Yeah, for me it is. I mean, education changed my life, and I want as many kids to have that opportunity to change their lives.
Well, many people jokingly say that this is just your payback for getting all these women in bed.
Yeah.
This is the way that you make up for it. But it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you're doing, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate you being here with us. And I'm going to stop monopolizing the conversation. We're going to be passing around a microphone, and I know that many of you have questions that you would like to ask Nicholas Sparks. So if you can raise your hand, we can bring a microphone to you. I see one very, very eager hand right there. Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming, first of all. I'm a huge fan, as I'm sure all the other people in the audience are as well. I'm curious, out of all of the couples that you've written, who's your absolute favorite?
Couples.
Mine's Allie and Noah, obviously.
Yeah, Allie and Noah, they're kind of iconic, right? Everyone knows if you say Allie and Noah what you're talking about. I've made some pretty good friends throughout filming. Believe it or not, I adored spending a time with Josh and Julianne, right, for Safe Haven. They were just so much fun. We spent so much time promoting and publicizing. We spent weeks and weeks together in addition to filming. So, they ended up becoming good friends. So I just like them as people. Same thing with Channing Tatum. Chan is a great, great young man. I know his wife real well. They got the most beautiful baby in the world. Surprise, surprise. Because how could that have happened, right? So there's a lot of them. Couples. I guess the couple that touches my heart the most, though, overall is Jamie and Landon in A Walk to Remember, right? Just this, I have daughters, and I think it's just this great, great lesson that you can, if you're a girl, you can be who you are and hold true to your own values. And if the guy's right for you, he's going to grow up for you. I just love that message, again, because I have daughters.
And a whole sigh went across the room. Yes, I see a question right there.
Thank you. So you mentioned that education changed your life. Can you tell us a little bit more about how?
Yeah, I was a good student, like I said, and so I had a lot of educational opportunities. I went off to Notre Dame, and as I said, I wrote this first novel when I was 19, really to see if I could do it. I was kind of going a little bit crazy, so I wrote a novel I just like to read. I wanted to see if I could actually type 300 pages of a story, and it was terrible. I'll be honest, it was no good at all. But that wasn't the point. The point was to see whether I could finish it. A few years later, I was a senior in college, and I took a class called American Fiction since the 1950s. And some of those novels that we read, and they're just the classic Slaughterhouse-Five, Catch-22, Lolita, The Invisible Man, Bullet Park, all of these really, really great stories. The one thing that really stood out to me in all of those books was the quality of the character's voice, the uniqueness of the voice. And that uniqueness of the character's voice called to me, and I actually wrote a second novel, right? And so without, the grades to get into this particular college, would take this particular class to get inspired to write a second time. So again, those two novels that I wrote first off, without those, I couldn't have written The Notebook. I never could have, right? And it just changed my world. I had good opportunities, because I was educated. I read. I was exposed to literature. It changed my life in every way.
It's fantastic. Are there any other questions? I see one right here.
Hold on.
Front row.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. So you're obviously mostly well known for your romance novels, but do you work on other genres? Do you kind of have side projects that have nothing to do with romance that you kind of let it out?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I've started a television production company. We put out Deliverance Creek a month ago, Civil War stories, something I would never write for my novels. And really the purpose behind the television production company is to do exactly that, to write stories that maybe I wouldn't put in novel form. It's the same reason for the other half of my film company. Some of the films we do are works adapted. They're films adapted from my work, but the other half are just stories that I like. Part of that, for instance, is a remake of the original Brian song, which is a great story. It was a very meaningful movie to me when I was a kid, and I just think that there's a wonderful opportunity to remake that for today's audience and have it be equally meaningful. So that's exactly the reason why I did those other two areas.
Is there ever a difficult transition for your brain to shift from writing novels to writing scripts for television?
Yeah, there's a shift. It's a different muscle. One is a story told with words. That would be a novel. The other is a story told in pictures. You have acts. You have 5-act scenes. You have to do that. Each scene is approximately 8 to 10 pages. So you have these acts, and you can't break it because this, TV is very picky. They want room for the commercials. You better be good in 10 pages or that's it. So you have all these things. So it's just a different muscle, and you can get good at both.
Obviously. All right, here's a question right here. Hello.
Hi. So when you're working on multiple projects and you feel like you're getting stuck, what do you do to get your creative juices flowing again?
Usually at another project, something that's calling to me, right? Just so that you're writing on a daily basis, because there's always something for me to do. My point is I'll switch. That's why I have two novels going. If the one is hard and I'm stuck there, I'll move to the other one. And that for me is the best way to go, because then at least you feel like you're not stuck anymore. You're moving forward. And that to me, I think success, feeling good about your day's output begets more success.
Nicholas, as a follow-up to that, do you ever worry about burnout?
No, not really. I mean, I have time. I do lots of things that I enjoy, right? I've had a very wonderful and interesting life. And I don't just mean the work side. I mean, I take time for myself. I take time to exercise or just take days off, I mean, I think that's important.
Are there any other questions? I see one right back there.
I have a question. Yeah. So I'm wondering about the male response to you when they see you. Is it more, thanks a lot for making me go to the movies with my girl, or thanks a lot for making me cry in front of my girl?
Or it's thanks a lot for making me look bad in front of my girl. Where's my kiss in the rain, honey? Hello? I get all three. Most of it, tongue in cheek. People either like the stories or they don't, and I try not to categorize them as male or female. I mean, I know I'm aware that the vast majority of my readership is female, but so is Pat Conroy's, right? And I happen to enjoy his books. It's just the simple fact is women read more than men, so most genres, the readership is primarily female.
We have one more question. We have time for one more question.
I'll ask one. There's one.
Wait, we have one right here.
Perfect.
No twosies for you. Though we appreciate your questions.
Hi. I just have a quick question. As a writer, and I know it's a follow-up to both your questions, but what would be your one tip as a writer?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. I think you got to be clear on what you're trying to do with your writing. What do you want? What's your goal? Right? My goal is to tell stories that a lot of people read. Right? I mean, I'm not out there just to write a story that I want to do. I'm not necessarily writing to hear my own voice. I'm writing a story that I hope people will enjoy. So know what kind of writing you want, to know what your real end goal is. I mean, everyone has the same goals: be famous, to sell a gazillion books, win the Nobel Prize. But really, that doesn't happen. You usually get to pick one or the other, right? So know what you're doing, and then you got to read a lot. Yeah, I don't know a writer in the world that doesn't read a lot and that doesn't read in a variety of genres. Just because, if you let's just say that you like what I write. Okay, if you wanted to ever learn to write like me, you can't just read what I've written. You have to read what I've read. And I read everything from Westerns to, adventure to nonfiction to family dramas to the classics to everything. Because all of those things that I've read in the past have given me the tools I need to create the stories that I do.
All right, so Nicholas, what's your favorite non-Nicholas Sparks book?
The Bible.
Excellent. And on that note, I think that we have one more question.
Hi, thanks so much for coming. I was just curious, because many of your female characters are strong and emotional, so who are your female role models?
Oh, without question, I had a great mom, sister, wife, my daughters, my agent, my editor, my publicist, head of my TV company, social media manager. I'm surrounded by females.
It sounds like standing next to every strong man is a whole bunch of fantastic women. And talk about that. That's extremely important.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I've been very blessed. Women have become, they're my good friends in the world, and I've been surrounded by strong, emotionally centered women my entire life. I've just been very blessed.
Well, we are grateful to have you here. Let's give Nicholas Sparks a big round of applause. We appreciate you being here, and I'm welcoming Suzanne back to the stage.